Hello and welcome back to the first episode of season 3 of Kidder Street Noise, and it is all change
Yes.
on Kidder Street Noise as we've got new microphones, we've upgraded camera setup, microphones, and we've prepared for a season as part of the 4,000 Holes
Yeah, for the first
podcast
time.
show. So we had the summer moving things about and trying to get organised with the 4,000 Holes team. And this is the start of our journey with them.
Yeah.
How did it come about? What was that initial
It was
communication?
something that was proposed to us by Ian Herbert. I think he sent us an email at first, I think.
Yeah,
We got an email from him. That was about when was that? Maybe June? June time? Honestly can't remember now. But yeah,
yeah,
I think he sent us an email and we just we had a meeting on Zoom. We had a Zoom meeting and we just took it from there. Me and Rob had to think about it. We thought it'd be the best thing for the podcast going forward to get more exposure and hopefully in time more listeners and viewers as well.
a lot more people
Um,
speak to as well, which is a big thing
yeah,
because we're not the most liked.
yeah.
I'm not the most
Well,
liked, I'll
we're also,
say.
we're also.
But yeah, obviously, with Ian, Josh, and the rest of the people behind the 4,000 Holes show, we should hopefully be able to have more guests on, be able to interview a lot more people and get a lot more opinions on the show, which
Yeah, definitely.
can only be a good thing. So, audio listeners, it will now be as part of 4,000 Holes lineup with a variety of shows that they've got with the What Now and what's the recent one they've started doing this season? Robs
Roads
Incorporated,
Incorporated,
which has been a really good listen. I'm really enjoying that. You'll find us on there now.
yeah.
So.
We just wanted as many Rovers fans as possible to be able to be aware of the podcast
Yeah, hear
and
our opinions.
yeah, this is a move that facilitates that.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah, definitely. Um, we're now part of 4,000 Halls, proud member of the Talksport Podcast Network. So this will be us for the future. So that was everything that happened over the summer. We also had the Euros. You went to some of the games over there. How
I
did you enjoy
did,
the
yeah.
Euros?
Yeah, it was really good. Obviously, like the first tournament that I've been to, Sport in England. We went to me and my mate Ed, and we went to the England Denmark game, the second group game. 90 minutes were poor,
Drab.
poor to put it nicely, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game really wasn't the best, but the couple of days we had out there were really enjoyable, really good atmosphere. Yeah, I thought it was a decent tournament overall. I know a few people were complaining about it, and I do agree with the point that a lot of people have made. It feels like about how the second and third match days in the group stage weren't of the quality
Yeah.
of the first. But I think that's a problem of the system and how the four best third places go through. Because
Yeah.
if teams win that first game, then they kind of settle for what they've got almost, and that tends to play a bit more conservatively and think if we just get a point here, we're guaranteed to go through.
Yeah, I think that when it used to be just the top two going through, the first game was always dead cagey, and the third game was like win at all costs. But
Yeah,
it felt like this time people went for it in the first game, knowing that even if they lost that, they still had a chance of going through because of the third place finishes. So it was like positives in one way, negatives in another. I just feel like international football from when I was a kid is just so poor. Like it felt
bit
like
bland.
not just a bit bland, but I think that it might just be football in general. I don't know if it's a nostalgia tax or whatnot, but
Pep.
it feels like that as well. But when I was a kid, it felt like every international team had a superstar player that could. And I'm thinking like Nedved for the Czech Republic, obviously like France had loads. Um, Spain, like we're just like a wonder team. They didn't have a star, but there was always like one standout player for every nation
Someone
that
that could put
could win the
the
game.
nation
Yeah,
on the back. Yeah,
yeah. Like even like Portugal, like the early 2000s for Ronaldo, it was like always Figo. Or, like just after that might have been Deco. But yeah, the football was. I mean, obviously, like being Scottish, I'm not an England fan. I didn't really want England to win, but I feel like it would have been a terrible result for football if England would have won that tournament. Like
You're
watching,
always going to say we could have played like Prime Brazil and
you're never going to want to.
well,
You're not going to
no,
play Prime
we
Brazil
could
with
have
Declan Rice.
we could have, and you said that though.
Declan Rice running around with field kicking shit out ball.
Yeah, so some of the passes that he played at times, I'm thinking that one in particular in the semi-final against the Netherlands, and he's got it. Like, I think it's like a loose pass out the back or something. He just picked it up. He's rushed it. He's played it first time. Just absolutely spooned it.
With it out to Gaiety, and it goes out for a corner or a throw in, that close. That one.
Yeah,
I know there was one where he threw Gay under the bus a couple of times in the
yeah,
tournament.
but I think this one it just ends up. He tries to play someone in, but he just completely rushes it. Like there's no composure there whatsoever, and it just goes back to their keeper. And you just think you've got all the time in the world there. You know, they give the ball right to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I weren't really impressed with his tournament, to be honest. I mean, I weren't really impressed with England.
Yeah, like the way they played
Apart from
overall.
the Netherlands game, I thought the first half in that game they played pretty well, and you know, Foden almost scored that wonder goal, and and we're going at half time 2-1 up. But yeah, the other games weren't really much at all.
No. I think the PR around certain England players is just crazy, but enough about other teams. Let's get focused on Rovers. So there's 3 parts to this show tonight. We're going to talk about the summer, our thoughts going into this season, any changes around the club that we've been aware of. We'll talk about season ticket prices and sales. Part 2, we'll talk about the start so far, so the league games that we've already had, and the 2 cup games that we've had. And then in the final part 3, we'll be looking ahead to Saturday's derby fixture. So part 1, had a lot of changes this summer.
Yeah,
I know we're desperate to stick with this director of football structure, and obviously Gested's come in permanent now. John Park's come in as what is he?
football
Football.
operations.
Rudy's head of football
Football operations
operations.
and
John Park's director of football. I don't,
no, because I think White said the director of football kind of role has been into split into 3 roles,
different
haven't
areas.
so it's not one person with all that power and
Responsibility.
decision making.
Yeah. What do you think of the decisions, or if they have made any decisions so far? And then, I mean, John Park. It's hard to tell because obviously the transfers so far look all right. The ones we've done.
Yeah,
Um, would still obviously like to see a bit more movement on that front and a bit more money being spent. But again, we don't know how tight his budget is, or I think a lot of people are confused about his experience, talking about like the Japanese market as Celtic, but I think he'd left Celtic by that point. Some of the signings that he had made for Celtic, obviously, I think the big ones being,
but you don't know how long Celtic have been looking into that market before they actually
yeah, true.
fully export. Well, fully took advantage of it.
I think his big ones that he claimed Celtic was what was the guy in midfield who went to Southampton and Spurs, Wanyama.
Right. Okay.
So he signed Wanyama for a little amount of money. I think he went to Southampton for like 17 million. And there were a couple of others, like Stuart Armstrong might have been another that he signed, and obviously
Yeah.
went on for big money. So he has had that history in the past of buying low and selling high. And obviously at the minute we're rumoured to be signing Todd Cantwell this week, which is rumoured a low fee. And I think that is again his aim, where if he comes in and has a good season for us, next summer it'll be getting 3 or 4 million back for him or whatever. And again, trying to get that investment back into the club. It won't just be
It's decent quality players for low fees,
low amount, high sell-on value.
Hashi's probably another example of that
Yeah,
because off of what we've seen so far, it looks really promising.
yeah. How did you feel? I know we did the pre-season prediction show with 4,000
Yeah,
holes, and I did like a video for Plymouth one of their podcast shows. Did you do an interview with someone?
I did the summer deep dive with
Gabriel Sutton.
Sutton.
Yeah. What were your predictions for this season? How are you feeling going into the season starting?
So I think it changed during that week where we made 5 or 6 signings in the space of about 48 hours.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the squad was strengthened significantly. I'm still not happy with like where the squad is. But I think during that week, because the experience I brought in as well, yeah, my prediction for where we'll finish
Changed after that
changed
week.
quite a lot.
Yeah, I think I was the same. Our squad was looking very thin at that point,
Yeah.
and
So
that was before we knew the quality of the players.
So I think we were both saying before that week that 23rd would be a good season, which is obviously very depressing. It sounds very depressing. And then now I think we'll be about halfway. But probably.
So what, what have you seen so far that's changed that? Apart from the transfers, obviously, like the start we've had so far, although the results have been good, the opposition, like, and we'll get onto this later. Like, is it? I know we've got 2 wins and a draw.
You can only if someone would have offered you 2 wins and a draw before a ball was kicked from those 3 games, would you not took it?
But I think even if you finish in 23rd, you've got to be looking at the 2 promoted clubs at home as 6 points.
And we've got that. So
yeah, no, but
it's all right.
But I'm saying that, so that's what I mean. My expectations haven't changed. Like a point at Norwich doesn't change my expectations. If I would predict, like, if I think we're going to finish 23rd,
but a point at Norwich is a decent result.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I know it is. But like, if I'm predicting us to finish 23rd, and I look through the fixtures and like predict what we're going to get, I'm not saying, oh, we're going to get beat home against Derby, and then like, oh, we've won them 2 games, and now we're going to finish 8th, and we're pushing for playoffs and missing out on goal difference last game of the season. But I know, like I'm not over exaggerating there, but even finishing 23rd, I'm still predicting us to get 6 points off them 2 teams at home. Because like, you're in a relegation battle, they're the teams you need to beat. Like, obviously, last season we got beat off them teams and beat the teams at the top of the league, which was unprecedented usually.
Last night aside, do you not think we've shown a bit more grit so far? I think, the coming back.
I was like coming back from beat, yeah, definitely.
I think even in the game against Derby, I know like, a lot of people tipping Derby to go straight back down, and they're not very strong. But them equalising, you're thinking, maybe last season might go on to lose that game.
Last night was the first time that I've seen this season where we've conceded a goal, and for the next 5 minutes we've looked like we'd have no idea what we're doing. Like usually, like the games we've played so far, we've conceded, and for the next 5 minutes we've just let's sort it out, keep it tight, and get back to where we're at. Which I felt like under JDT last season and under Eustace last season, like the Bristol City game, where if we conceded a goal, heads just went, and it was like they didn't know where they were. And last night was the first example I've seen of that. But I think that can be like, it's almost because we concede goals that we shouldn't be conceding goals. Like, I think there's been times this season and the end of last season where it'd either be a mistake or a worldie, and you think, we played all right here. How are we 1-0 down? And
the biggest concern, and it feels like it's been a problem for a long time, is set pieces.
Yeah,
without a doubt, both defensively and offensively.
Offensively is abysmal.
Yeah, it really is poor. The 2 goals against Derby, and the biggest worry with that is if you go through a spell in the season where you're struggling to score goals, you're just going to lose every game because of it.
Yeah, we're guaranteed to concede one.
Yeah, that needs addressing.
But,
all this change at the club, and I've nothing like personally against the guy, but Ben Benson, goalkeeping and set piece coach. I mean, that's not a role, is it?
No,
it's just not.
That's like, yeah, you can kind of do that.
And the proof's in the pudding. You know what you see in the game. This is
Well, last season we hired someone. When Eustace came in, we hired a set piece analysis, and he were on Twitter. I can't like for the life of me, I was trying to find his post for ages, and he posted a thread on Twitter, and he basically said like, "I've been hired by it were Greg Broughton that got him in. Been hired by Greg Broughton to sort out set pieces for Rovers. I've done this, this, and this, and like from defensive set pieces, for first contact we were ranked 23rd out of 24th in the league, and then like after he'd finished his jobs, like after the Leicester game, we were third out of 24 first contact from set pieces. Like now he's left now, which is crazy because if he's improved you that much, like and that was just in one of the sections.
mm,
I think offensively, um, I don't know how he'd worked it out, but like the percentile of where you score goals from, and it's that like I know people like slag players off hitting the first man at corners, but that area is where the majority of corners are scored.
yeah,
And he worked on players' deliveries and said, like, out of every 10 corners for the first, before he was there, we were hitting that area 3 times out of 10. And then when he left, by the time he left, it was like 8.7 times out of 10 we were hitting that area. Which obviously, law of averages suggests you will score more goals from that. Now, for me, he should have been given another year or should have been begged to stay. Like, you're making that.
yeah.
Like, you can't have someone that come and improve and go, yeah, Ben, you just listen to him and carry on doing what he's doing. Because he obviously knows his
Do
stuff.
you think
But
maybe it's something that the club are just kind of overlooking then?
yeah, I've always said this: we don't invest enough in analysis and preparation. You would call it. I still think the medical team are way off it. Like the subs last night, like making 5 subs on 60 minutes, like just because we we need to rest them before Saturday. Like JRC were knackered last night after 45
Yeah,
minutes. You can't tell me he's had the same amount of um, what's the word I'm thinking of, being with E for like using exertion
right.
as Danny Barth, who played really well last night and then got dragged off after 60 minutes because he's not played that often. Like there must be like for other clubs, they'll be like analysing that and analyse how many sprints they've done. Last night in that first half, well, Barth has sprinted twice,
Yeah. Mm.
and like JRC's like
Especially with
box
how
to
we were
box.
playing, because it felt like everything, like 9 times out of 10 that Pers had the ball, it was played out from the back, and it felt like it would feel like we'd do what's like at least 10 passes in our in the first third in our half before we'd actually
Yeah,
look to go forward. So it's not like any of the defenders were taking the ball and moving into midfield.
no.
It was all like kind of a slow build up out from the
But
back.
I also thought Blackpool played a lot in front of us. It weren't like they had a man running in behind and it was going over the top and back to goal. It was all very like squared on for the centre backs. And I just thought that like, surely he could have played 90 minutes last night and been alright. And other players like Juru like played unreal last night
In a
and
really good
it
game,
was
yeah.
really good to see. But surely if you had like medical analysis, you would have seen the amount of sprints he did in the first half, how many times he beat his man, and say, yeah, after 60 minutes, I'll swap you. I know you're playing well, but like we need to look after you in case we need you on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they're overlooking it. I don't know whether like we don't think it's that important or whether it's financial. We don't know.
Should we talk about the second half last night? Because I thought what happened was really strange.
We'll get into it in
Was it?
part two and talk
Yeah,
about the season
yeah,
so far. But so yeah, pre-season confidence was low. It's changed now. My confidence hasn't gone mega high, but just because of the level of opposition. But I think after September, we'll have a clearer picture of where we're going to be towards May time. Season ticket sales. Now we had the fans forum where the club was thanked for their pricing policy, which was it's unbelievable. Because although the kids for a quid and the Riverside offer was good, the pricing policy clearly hasn't worked with 75% or only 75% of fans renewing from last season. record low number of adult season ticket holders. And yeah, I think when I spoke to Waggett after last season, and we spoke about Sky Sports Plus and all the midweek games being on TV and sort of 12:30 games, and I worked out that from the start of the season till when we played Burnley at home in January, we only played 6 games on a Saturday at 3 o'clock out of 14. It's not worth getting a season ticket for a lot of people if they can't make late games, can't make early games. For a lot of people, it's financially not worth it. So, I know the attendances have looked alright so far. Are you surprised at the season ticket sales? Are you shocked or?
Not. It is like disappointing, as someone that has bought a season. You want as many people to buy a season ticket, as possible. But I feel like, despite the reduction in prices, there was going to be a drop off because I feel like people buy in really due to what is happening, like at the club, and what the mood is. What the if it's a feel good factor, if people are optimistic, if they're excited, then they're likely to buy a season ticket. And it feels like last season going into this season, like the expectations of what Rovers could do, what they're going to do, has completely shifted from maybe like the last 2 or 3 seasons. Like the season like during COVID where we had like Elliott and Armstrong and Rothwell, some exciting attacking players. It felt like we had a deepish squad.
Yeah.
Albeit it underachieved that season. It ended up finishing 15th, but that season, it felt like we had a team that could maybe get into the playoffs. And then, Mowbray's last season where we should have got in the playoffs. JDT's first season where we should have got in the playoffs. During that time, it felt like promotion was a possibility. Definitely, because we spent a good chunk of those seasons not even in the playoff picture, but in the automatic picture.
Yeah.
So but last season it felt like, and everything that we were hearing from Waggett and the higher ups was all, and what we're hearing in the media and the press as well, was all pointing towards a shift in the goalposts, and the expectations being changed.
Yeah.
So that has a part to play, and and obviously the Sky deal completely changes everything, really.
Do you think the club are doing enough to get people down? Obviously, went down last night at £15 a ticket for adults.
Yeah.
After
luckily, it's still a tenner for me, so I'm still in the 18 to 23 category. Which is why I bought a season ticket, really, because I don't feel like I pay with like the amount of games that I miss. Because like when I end up going back to uni, we're doing like work experience on weekends. I don't think it'd be worth it for me to pay for an adult season ticket, but it only, like the 18-23 ticket was only like 140, I think it was, in the Blackburn for me. So even if I end up missing like 10 games, it's still only like,
still less than like 15 quid a game.
Yeah.
So that's the end of part 1. We're back after these ad messages. We'll start talking about the start of the season that we've had so far. Right, we are back. So we've gone through the summer in part 1. Now it's time to talk about the start of the season that we've had so far. So we played Derby in the first game of the season. We've touched on it slightly with the 2 goals that conceded from set pieces. But we'll start with the positives. So some great finishes. Ahashi's goal was an absolute beauty.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was pretty good on the Blackburn end. Like, it was some actual limbs when Ahashi scored. I think it was genuine shock that we've got a striker that 1-on-1 we'll like put the ball in the net and like so coolly where we used to
And
Gallagher's.
we're 4-1 up on the first day of the season.
Yeah,
What is this? Or,
yeah,
I don't know if anyone was expecting that, really. I know it was
no,
4-2 in the end, but I just think with the. Let's face it, there wasn't like a lot of negativity. Most of it was justified during pre-season. So, for us to be in that position, it was like I think everyone's a bit taken aback. So that's
yeah,
probably the reason for that. But opening day, there's always going to be a bit of like extra buzz. I think like a lot of people talk about like the first goal, like the cheers being slightly louder than they would be
yeah.
any other week going 1-0 up against Derby.
Eh,
Yeah,
yeah, Friday night be on Sky. I would say it helped because like there was obviously people like in the pub beforehand and going down. I was knackered. I hate a Friday night game, especially if you've been at work. Like by half time, I'm yawning. Just want to go to bed. Call it a day, ref. Um, Obviously, Gay started to set up the first goal for Dolan. Um, what have you thought of Gay's performances so far? What are you massively impressed? Has he still got more to show?
still got more to show, but I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far. I think it's obviously a massive physical threat. Like, he just bullies defenders. It
Yeah,
feels like when he came on Saturday against Oxford. From what I didn't actually go to that game, but from what I saw, it just like it frightened the life out of them. Um, he set up the goal for Hedges at Norwich as well. Um, Hopefully, goals are on the way. Was looking at the score last night. I think it felt
it
like it.
is score last night.
Sorry. In the second half last night.
Yeah, the one that just went slip
Yeah, the
wide.
one but it was like felt like he was uh, trying too hard in a way, trying to find trying to place it.
Yeah, I mean the penalty, what encouraged me the most is that he doesn't even go over to Sigurdsson and see if he's all right. He's just running straight towards the ball.
Yeah,
Ref gives it. He runs to the ball. He's like, "I'm the number 9. I'm the striker. I'm taking it." And it's been a while since we've had a striker where they've had the confidence to say, like, I know we have not had a penalty for 11 months at Ewood, I think it was, but I look back to Dak's penalty against Bristol City,
mm,
where pretty sure at the time Gallagher and Diaz would have both been on the pitch, and Dak, who just come back from a
yeah,
16-month injury, was allowed to take the penalty.
yeah.
And
It was really good to see how eager he was. He was literally like right. It felt like as soon as we won the penalty, he was like still on the spot.
yeah,
That's how it felt.
I'm taking this and I'm going to
Yeah,
score it, which
that
is
was good. To see.
and it's good because at least you know then that if we ever do get a penalty, there's going to be someone that's confident enough to step up and score. And
Yeah,
um, we then went on to play Stockport in the cup, which was it Stockport?
yeah.
Am I going mad? Yeah, Stockport away in the cup. David's in the pink kit and smashed 6
6-1.
past them. And this is where we get onto like the level of opposition. So I made a comment last night about we are yet to beat championship level opposition this season, which some people obviously got upset by, and we're a bit like trying to almost put it in black and white that because Derby and Oxford are in the championship, they are now championship level opposition. And it's like that argument on sports scene of he's not 18, he's 17.
I think Rob was clutching a bit because well, he just a bit
Well,
overly negative about Rovers at the minute.
I just don't think football is that black and white. And the example I used was where so our Ipswich Premier League level opposition just because in the Premier League.
From wikipedia.org. Ipswich finished the season in 11th.
No, they didn't.
Sound. Um,
Well, not yet, but they. Yeah, it's good points.
Because like if I look at the Championship, there's probably 4 groups. There's the relegated Premier League teams who are Premier League level opposition. The ones that have just come up who are not yet Championship level opposition.
So teams are at a different level then, but they're all at Premier League level.
Well, yeah,
They're just at a different level of quality.
yeah.
So it's which are
That
Premier League.
that was what my comment was about. Derby and Oxford are not yet Championship level opposition.
But they've earned the right to be here, so really
Well, yeah, they have earned the right
are.
to be here, but they're still not Championship level opposition, like because they're not in the same bracket as.
So at the League One level, when the two go for League One, you know, it's to me you can only beat what's in front of you, and I think the start of the season, apart from last night, which we'll get onto later, has been pretty good.
Yeah, but that's because of the level of opposition we had in the fixtures.
Yeah, you can.
But like I say, if we'd have started, if we'd have started the season playing Sheffield United, Luton, and Burnley, and we'd have won all three, we'd have said that's a great start to the season because we've been playing Premier League level opposition.
But they're not Premier League level because
they
weren't good enough last season.
I know, but because they've come down and they've got that level of funding, they are that level of opposition. Like, it's not as black and white as they're in this league. So
there's strong teams, but they're obviously not Premier League level. Otherwise, they'd be there. They would have stayed up.
Well, I was very misunderstood anyway. 2-2 draw at Norwich. So I know I've got my notes here that we've got set piece concerns after 2 goals against Derby. Goalkeeper's a big concern for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Massive. The 2 goals at Norwich, I know he's hit the first one well, but at your near post is poor. The second one, I think he can stop the cross.
Yeah.
It comes low across the floor at his feet, more or less, and I just think, stick a leg out. and it's worrying how we've gone from, obviously, Kaminsky and I'm going to say the level of goalkeepers we've had before that, but they probably weren't as good as Kaminsky, to how poor Pers is.
Yeah. Something I'm not really a fan of as well is the idea of loaning a goalkeeper. You know, to replace Pers pretty much. I think apart from the time that Kaminsky was first choice every week, it's been a problem position for a number of years. It felt like when Kaminsky first came in, and like up until like Pers replaced him in JDT's first season, it felt like a relief that it was settled. Like we've got a decent keeper, at last, and now it feels like we've gone back to that time of like Steele and
Walton,
and
the trenches.
Yeah, and even going as far back as like Bourne and Keating and who else we had, Eastwood, and changing goalkeepers all the time. It felt like.
I just think that with
we need a permanent first team quality goalkeeper.
I agree with that, but the amount of money that you spend on that has to be right. You can't just keep buying keepers for $500,000 because they're not going to be good enough. If they're valued at that amount of money, they're not good enough. A top keeper is worth 15, 20 points a season, so they're automatically going to be valued at more if they're good ones.
Yeah.
So for me, with the revenue that we receive from transfers, I would be spending 10, 15 million on Carl Rushworth from Brighton because he will be your keeper for the next 10 years. And for a keeper that's that good,
Rovers are never going to spend that much on one player, though, are they?
why?
It's just not the way that Venky's have tended to do things, other than
You're going to keep spending loan fees and small revenues on dog shit. And eventually it'll total that amount of money that you could spend on one keeper and kept him for.
I don't think you need to spend that much, though.
Oh no, I'm using Carl Rushworth as an example because probably the best one. Yeah.
To me, that's like something we do if we got promoted.
But it's a necessity.
Oh yeah, it should be treated as priority. I think.
Yeah.
All this like talk about Cantwell, it's looking like he's going to join now. But to me, he is a position where we've got a few options now. Really.
Yeah.
And I think every Rovers fan would agree now that Pers isn't good enough. So why is it not why is there not more urgency about finding a keeper? It feels like everything's moving too slowly, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if we sign this Hungarian that's been linked with us today, I think he's talking about £600,000 as the transfer fee. Is not like if we were to like, I'm getting way ahead of myself here, way ahead. If we were to like push and like plan for the next 5 years and push towards playoffs and promotion, a Bulgarian keeper for 600,000 or Hungarian, whatever it is, I'm throwing every nationality out there, is not going to be good enough to be at that top end of the league. I just think we've got the money, or we say we've got the money. Go out and spend close to 10 million on a goalkeeper and have him for the next 5-10 years.
What other positions need strengthening, do you think? We've got cover at left back now with.
So this is another thing that annoys me.
Another thing.
This is another, and this one, I'll tell you now. I think your 5 loan spots should be better than what you've got. Like, there should be young players from the Premier League or unwanted players from relegated clubs or like top end championship clubs who are better than what you've got and aren't getting game time where they are. Using them loan spots for cover is just absolutely bonkers to me. You might as well have an academy player there.
Yeah.
Realistically, everyone's saying it's good cover if Pickering in like when he gets injured. He missed 5 games last year.
Yeah.
He's not exactly like only playing 25 games. He needs so majority of the season.
I think not having cover available created the problem last night because Pickering did go off injured. Then we didn't have a left back on the bench. Why we didn't have? There must be one in the academy.
Yeah.
Tell me we don't have a left back in the academy.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then we had to put 5 at the back and Siggy at left wing back. That made us vulnerable.
I think even if you go and sign a centre mid who can play a left back, it would be all right for me.
Like even if you said to Travis, like you go there for for rest, that would have been more. That would have been better than Siggy at left wing because
definitely
that made us vulnerable. And then it felt like the 5 changes all at once. It was like it felt a bit arrogant in a way from Eustace. It felt like it doesn't matter who we put on or what shape.
Just get these lads minutes.
We're just going to win the game. It felt almost as if Eustace. It was like inconceivable to Eustace that Blackpool would turn it around.
Yeah.
It felt too comfortable.
I watched it last night, and there were times towards the end of the first half and the start of the second half where I didn't know what formation we were playing. Now, I think he was playing a 4-2-3-1 with Vale in the 10, off Gay, or off Awashi, whatever he was trying to play, which is fine. But Vale's not that player. He's a centre forward, so when the ball's coming from the back into the centre midfielder, he's not thinking about that pass or trying to cut it off or anything. Just before he made the subs, Blackpool were dominating us in midfield. We were getting to every ball. There were 3 of them in there with just JRC and Buckley, and it was clear that we needed another man in midfield. And rather than taking Vale off and putting a more defensive, like Travis, in centre mid and just playing an actual 4-3-3 and maybe pushing Costello like a bit further forward in that midfield but keeping them as a 3 in midfield, it took a man out of midfield and put another man at centre back. We were having no issues defending the striker. And I mean, he's obviously gone for this 4-2-3-1 shape and worked on it up through the summer and stuff. If McFadden can't play in a 4 in the back, we shouldn't have signed him. I don't care how good he is on training ground or his experience. Sign him as a coach. He doesn't need to be a player. He's getting to that age where he's going to start thinking about doing his coaching badges if he hasn't done them already. He doesn't need to play to give people experience or advice. He can be a staff member. But if you're moving if you have to change the whole formation to fit someone in, they have to be a superstar. There don't have to be a 38-year-old wardrobe and a kit. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, Hyam isn't better as 5 in the back. Carter's wasted as a 5 in the back.
Yeah.
The fullbacks, I mean, Drew looked alright as a wing back, but Siggy as left wing back is just...
It's lunacy, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. That's exactly what it is.
It's something like... It's something that a manager would think if he's thinking, "Oh, we'll get away with it tonight because it's Blackpool." Do you know what I mean? It's something that it just felt really strange to me. Like the whole change in the second half, and we looked completely different once we made that change.
If they were playing 3 up top and they were getting in behind the full-backs and they were stretching the centre-backs and they went to 5 at the back, yeah, that makes sense. But everyone could see we were losing midfield battle and you've made our midfield weaker. And I just think that's unfair.
We looked unsettled. It felt like no one was really sure where they were actually playing. And yeah, I mean, the mistake for the second goal from Costello is so out of character, really. He had a bad game last night, to be fair, I think.
Yeah.
But it was just a strange second half.
Yeah. Disappointing way to lead the cup anyway.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, going back to what I said before about level of opposition, I think September will tell us a lot more than what August has. Obviously, including the Burnley game. Preston we play. Who else have we got? I've just remembered them two.
We've got QPR at home, haven't we? And we've got Bristol City.
Bristol City is another one. So they're like...
That's at home as well.
Like standard championship clubs. Yeah, fingers crossed. So yeah, that's the start so far. At the end of part 2, join us in part 3 as we look forward to Saturday's Derby Day fixture against Burnley. Okay, we're back on our first episode of the Kidder Street Noise Show on 4,000 Holes. And the last part of today's episode, we'll be talking about Saturday's fixture against our near neighbours, Burnley. So, what are your plans for the day?
Well, we're going with...
I said your plans, I'm going with you, so well, I'm asking you.
One of the artists, aren't we, in Darwin? Free coach, there was 150. It's kind of like escalated, hasn't it? You know, there was only meant to be 1 coach, and then 2, and then the demand's just been that big. There's now a 3rd coach, so God knows how 150 of us are going to fit in there, because it's not the biggest place, is it? But,
no.
It's going to be lively. I don't feel as nervous as I did last time. I think last time it was made into a bigger thing because
we were both top of league.
It was like further on in the season, and it was like the last one before the World Cup, wasn't it? So it was like, you know, it was a very rare set of...
Yeah, I feel like we've not had enough time to build up the tension.
Yeah.
Before it.
Yeah, and I don't know. Usually, I'd be feeling it at this point, but like I say, I don't know, it feels like there hasn't really been that much build up at all.
No.
You know,
I think without the stuff surrounding the transfers and stuff, like if it's after the window, everyone's whole focus is on that.
Yeah.
Whereas this week, it's not been on that. It's been on the car boot sale down the road.
And I think personally, at the minute, I'm just like, my mind is totally consumed by the Oasis reunion. So, so I'm just thinking about that all day. So, whereas usually in the week leading up to the derby, my mind would be totally consumed by the game. You know,
I do like it though. I like just like being distracted, and obviously when this comes out, it'll be Friday morning, but it's like Thursday tomorrow. Right, only like 2 days of work left, and it'll be there.
It feels like a quiet build. I think last time as well, because it was like the first league fixture. It was about 6 or 7 years. So it was the first one for a while where it's like it's not even been 2 years since we last played in there. So it don't feel as big this time. But, maybe that'll
change Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, obviously. Maybe that'll suit us. Maybe Eustace's approach will be, more
Different.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Will be suited better to the game. Because last time on the JDT, it felt like he tried to treat it as any other game. It was just
Yeah.
an absolute shambles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
He thought
It
that
was embarrassing.
the tactics would have won the game, and we needed more than that. And
Yeah, needed to rough them up, and we
yeah.
didn't turn up. We didn't get stuck in. Yeah, I don't want to speak about it anymore.
Next note I've got is your earliest memory of the derby, because obviously, like 10-year difference between me and you, there will
Yeah.
be. I'm trying to think, like, because obviously when you were born in 2003,
Yeah.
we won't play him again for another like 7-8 years, will we?
Apart from
Oh, the FA Cup game, of
FA
course,
Cup games,
yeah.
yeah,
But
that
you would have
was
been too young for
two.
that, surely.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
So my earliest memory was Rhodes, his diving header at their place.
Yeah.
Just remember being absolutely freezing. It was early December, I think.
Yeah.
It was Sunday morning, and just on like the double decker buses as usual. And it was just absolutely
I remember
Baltic.
the buses on the way there were cold.
Yeah.
Like they were in the Darwin End car park, not in the sun yet, and
Yeah.
defrosting your window before on your way.
And then in the ground, like everyone stood up. It's that cold that you just like can't really feel your feet, you know.
We had the full away on that day, surely, didn't we?
I think we
I
did.
feel like
Yeah.
I feel like we were stood on the left hand side of the stand, like from where he crossed it from.
I don't think me and Dad were. Might have been wrong, but I think we were like. I think we might have been like behind the goal, like in the middle of the goal.
Yeah.
You know, because we weren't that far back either, because like Robinson felt pretty close. Yeah, I think we were like in the middle of the goal that day, but I think that was the last time we had the full stand there.
Yeah, it will have been, yeah.
Because the next time we went when Rhodes, like, deflection goal, and when
Yeah, we had half a stand then.
Yeah, that was half stand.
Yeah, my earliest memory, I remember watching I don't think it was a Boxing Day fixture, the 2-0 one with McAteer and Bent. It was like January time. It just had to be signed Marcus Bent in January, so it was like cold. It was a
just
night
before
game
Christmas,
as well.
wasn't it?
Can't have been.
I'm
sure we
was.
signed Marcus Bent that January, because we didn't have him in the summer.
Oh, I'm sure, like before Christmas.
Well, when did we sign Marcus Bent then? Because the commentary of that game is signed, sealed, and delivered, because he just signed for us. I'm sure he started the season elsewhere. Was he not at Ipswich, and then we signed him because he scored against us? I don't know why I'm asking you before you were born.
Was that not back in the day though? We could just sign someone. Any.
I don't know when January. I don't know when Windows came in. I've no idea.
It was definitely before Christmas, I think, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've watched that like Bring on the Clarets DVD that many times. I just know the date now.
I remember watching it here. Like,
did you not go to that one?
No. No, first one I went to at Turf Moor was the
Cup game.
0-0 in the FA Cup. I went to the 5-0 at Ewood. Obviously, that was my first season ticket. I went to that, but obviously, being that young, how old would I have been that then? April Fool's Day 2001.
7 and a half.
Yeah, I'd have been 7, yeah. So, like, although it were a big win, like, buzzing, you don't really understand the importance, like, the magnitude of a win like that. Like, if we won 5-0 now, be home next Thursday, shouldn't it? It was like back then. It was just like we beat them. Like, and I think for me growing up, we were always mint, and they were crap. They were diabolical. Yeah. So it weren't a shock that you beat them 5-0. It was like expected that we would beat Burnley.
Yeah.
And even when we drew them in the FA Cup, there wasn't like a nervousness that like, oh my god, they might beat us. It was like, oh, these like bobbins will batter these. Yeah, I remember going to the FA Cup one, like sold out away end, and I remember Savage warming up and just booting he was like kicking the ball off the advertising hoardings in front of the whatever that stand is, where the tunnel that comes out. And it was like watching like pit bulls on leashes, like just barking at him.
I feel like I feel like it was nastier when they were worse.
Oh yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah,
I remember like, the first. I don't know whether it's because you get used to it as well, but the first one I went to, it felt a lot worse. Like there was a lot more hatred between the two sets of fans than the last two games, the other season.
I think that because of how successful we were and how bad they were, there was a massive hatred from their side. Like it was like jealousy, bitterness, and they despised us.
Yeah.
Whereas I always feel that, and maybe it's just my attitude to it, but I always feel like we're not that bothered about them. Like even though they've been to the Premier League,
This is going to get clicked up now.
I know, yeah, probably, yeah. And then they'll see me like foaming at the mouth on Saturday stand.
Yeah.
But like even on
this year,
yeah, but even like recent years when they've won promotion and stuff, I'm not really that focused and that bothered about what they're doing. I'm still more focused about what we're doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to see them winning and stuff, but I feel like when we were doing well and like going around Europe and stuff and like winning the League Cup and they were really, really poor, I feel like it tore them up a bit. Whereas I've never like looked at what they're doing in the Premier League and that it's like really got to me. And I've still just been like more bothered about what we're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what you mean about the hatred being. Remember the FA Cup replay. She's passed away now. The woman that's obviously sat next to us. She was like very passive at football games. Like very passionate, but not one to get too loud or too over the top. I remember when Pedersen scored the goal. Obviously, like people are falling all over you, like celebrating. And I turned around, and she wasn't just stood on the chair; she was like bouncing on the actual back of the chair, like that high, like stood that high up, and just like grabbing and just being like, yeah. I was just like, oh my god, because I still would have been young then. I would have been like 11 then.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like. I knew it was like big to beat him, but I didn't realize. I think that was the first time I realized how big that win was.
Yeah.
And then by the time it got to playing him in the Premier League, I think that was the biggest one for me because
that felt like the first one
that mattered more than any.
Yeah.
And when Blake scores the first, I just remember that was a horrible feeling.
Ground fell silent.
Yeah. Obviously, like the rest of the first half was unbelievable. So yeah, like it's weird how like your memories of it change over the time because I know what you mean about the hatred now, like dying down. I think maybe like the clubs and the police have seen that because of the lack of like bubble arrangements and stuff now, like for transport to the grounds. Whether if they like go on a mad downfall now, like the stuff that's going in the past, and they get to a point where they're back to being a struggling side again, whether that comes back, especially if we start like if we both stay in the championship, but we're both like or like they're not pushing for promotion anymore, they're fighting off relegation, and they start to struggle, and it starts to get a bit negative again. I can see them games becoming more and more feisty every year because it's when you've got nothing to play for apart from them games. That's when they go bonkers. I think because they're like your two cup finals, aren't they? So yeah, big game Saturday. Starting lineup.
Now I've gone no change to the back seven, so keeper the back four and Travis and Transcend midfield.
Right, so talk me through the back four. Britton, Pickering,
Carter, and Hyam.
Yeah.
Now I've gone for so it's 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
And it's that back set, and then Hedges on the right, Ohashi in the middle, and Siggy on the left.
Yeah.
In behind Guay. So I think you've got to start Guay because of his, his physical presence. And last time we were there was none of that. We need to rough them up. I know Burnley fans have said since Saturday that in the first 10 minutes Sunderland just bullied them, really kicked them off the park, and if they can be got at like that, then we need to take full advantage of it.
Yeah.
And he'll be a massive aid in that. So that's why I've gone for that selection.
Yeah. I'll go for new keeper if we sign one before Friday. Left back Pixie, obviously. Hyam, Carter. Does Bath deserve a start? Yeah, that's hard, me. I don't know what it is, but something doesn't sit right with me and Dom Hyam at the minute.
I should say as well, I didn't change players because I just don't think we'll have a new keeper ready to start.
We must have one before Friday. We can't have a full season with it there. Right back Britain.
We might have signed one, but whether it'll be
yeah, whether it'll be ready in time.
all cleared and whether the
press
documents will be sent.
Here we go again. Travis and Tronstad pick themselves, don't they? Again, 4-2-3-1. Left, I'm going Dolan. On the right, I'm going Hedges.
I'm bringing Dolan off bench, I think.
Or Hashi in behind Gay. Just because I think you could probably go 4-4-2 with them two as well and just like kick it to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't like
get Hashi, up to the big man.
Hashi's like energetic enough to not just have to sit in the 10. He can go and like press on the last man or whatever.
Yeah.
I've picked Dolan over Sigurdsson just because I think if Sigurdsson has a bad game, he's miles off it. Whereas if Dolan has a bad game, he can still be a bit ratty and like get in the face a little bit.
Yeah. And something might just come from nothing with Dolan, you know. Like,
yeah.
Something might just break to him and we're away.
Yeah. Whereas like Sigurdsson, I think he's a good option off the bench, but I think Wyman's lucky to miss out. But again, it's probably the first time for a while where I'd say like we've got game changers coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Especially in a game like that.
I thought. I mean, we were talking like, before we started the show about the possibility of Bayern starting. I was thinking, yeah, I think you've got to consider it with his experience and I think he's finishing as well. You know, he's a really good finisher.
Yeah, good movement.
Yeah, scores all kind of goals. So yeah, like, but it's good to have those headaches, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Right, final bit. Score prediction. No fence sitting. No fence sitting on Kitter Street noise.
I've got to go for a Rovers win because we're due one. we're due one, so we're gonna.
And that's how football works.
You've got to be up. Yeah.
Well, Aldershot are due a win at Man City.
You've got to go there thinking we can win, and we are due one, and you've got to be optimistic. I know we probably shouldn't expect too much because they are at home, they are favourites. The average coming out from the Premier League, even though you have a few players go and it looks pretty unsettled there at the minute, or definitely since
the start of the week, yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like sometimes the result can get blown out of proportions. I mean, after they beat Cardiff 5-0, it was like, oh, it's great to be back in Championship. You know, win the league and that. So, you know, enough of that. Yeah. I'm going for 2-1 Rovers. I think we'll go. I think we'll go 2-0 up, and I think they'll get one back later on, and the final few minutes was horrible.
I was going to say the same. So I think we'll go 2-0 up. I think we'll be 2-0 up at half time.
Oof.
I think they'll come flying out, start the second half. I think they'll pull it back to 2-1 on the 60th minute. I think the last half an hour will be dreadful, but I think we'll win.
I think it'll be a lot later. I think it'll be like 81 or something that they pull them back.
Whichever time they pull it back, the last 10 minutes will be unbearable, so strap yourself in. So yeah, we're both saying 2-1. Let us know your predictions on the BRSCS forums, what you think Saturday result's going to be. And yeah, that's it. Part 3, done and dusted. First show of the season. Like, first proper Kitter Street Noise show done the season. We're back next week to discuss, hopefully, the transfer window, the Burnley game.
Hopefully, 3 points.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll see you all. Have a lovely weekend. Try and enjoy it. Hope you get the Oasis
Hope you
tickets.
get, hope everyone gets Oasis tickets.
That's the most important thing, I promise.
Saturday could be the day of the ages. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If we get tickets and we win,
Yeah, definitely. Getting framed.
staying out all night.
Right, we will see you all in a bit.
See you in a bit.